Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a really out there idea.
Uh-huh.
The thought that maybe, just maybe, those incredible ancient structures, they weren't just symbolic art.
Right. More than just impressive buildings.
Exactly. What if they actually embedded, like literal computer code, into the architecture? A kind of forgotten software, etched in stone.
Wow. So not just admiring the pyramids, but wondering if they could, I don't know, run a program?
That's the question. Did the ancients build software alongside their structures? A forgotten code.
It's a pretty wild perspective shift, isn't it? I mean, for generations, we've looked at these places through, cultural, religious, maybe engineering lenses.
Standard stuff, yeah.
But thinking of them as potentially information storage or even
Mhm.
some kind of computational device, it makes you rethink everything about technological history.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The traditional view sees the beauty, the alignments, the spiritual side. But you're saying recent discoveries hint at something, well, more deliberate,
Yeah,
like serious math hidden inside.
precisely. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza. If you measure it really carefully, the proportions seem to reflect key mathematical constants.
Like what, for instance?
Well, pi, for one, the golden ratio, phi, and even remarkably, a value that's incredibly close to the speed of light, built right into its geometry.
Okay, that's pretty specific, not just random numbers.
And it's not just Giza. Look at the Nazca lines in Peru. Huge drawings on the ground, right?
Yeah, you can only really see them from the air.
Well, some analyses, looking through the lens of modern quantum physics, suggest they align with certain harmonic frequencies, almost like musical resonance.
Oh, weird. And Angkor Wat.
In Cambodia, yeah.
Yep.
Its dimensions, its layout seem to echo the massive 26,000-year cycle of the precession of the equinoxes, that slow wobble of Earth's axis.
Okay, I see what you mean. One example, maybe a coincidence, but Giza, Nazca, Angkor Wat, across the globe. It starts to feel like less random.
Exactly. We're pattern-seeking creatures. Sure, we see faces in clouds.
Right.
But when these precise mathematical and astronomical alignments pile up, you start to wonder.
And that's the leap, isn't it?
Right.
What if it's not just art, not just symbolism pointing at the sky?
Mhm.
What if these are actual instructions?
That's the tantalizing possibility. What if these mathematical relationships weren't just side effects of building something pretty or tracking stars, but were fundamental to the purpose of these sites?
Okay, that idea,
Yeah.
it leads us somewhere interesting. Let's jump forward, hypothetically, to Project Numina.
Right. Imagine it's 2099, AI has revolutionized archaeology, and Dr. Zara Malik is leading this project, Numina.
And its goal is pretty audacious.
Totally. To try and read ancient architecture not as symbols, but as code, to see if it could be deciphered, maybe even executed.
How would an AI even start doing that? What did they feed it?
Well, Numina was trained on a massive data set. Things like sacred geometry, the idea that certain shapes hold deep meaning. Also, fundamental mathematical constants, like the ones we saw in the pyramids, and even resonance patterns recorded inside old temples. The AI was basically looking for a hidden language, a syntax humans might have missed.
Because we're stuck in our usual ways of thinking?
Perhaps. And it seemed to find something. The big breakthrough supposedly happened at the Temple of Dendera in Egypt.
Dendera, okay. What did Numina find there?
So the walls at Dendera have these incredibly intricate geometric carvings, reliefs.
I've seen pictures. Very detailed.
Numina's algorithm spotted something amazing, a structural resemblance between these ancient patterns and, get this, modern quantum circuit designs.
Wait, quantum circuits? Like for quantum computers?
Exactly. The building blocks for manipulating quantum information. Numina didn't just see shapes. It saw what looked like an organized syntax, a pattern, like instructions, not just art.
Executable instructions,
Yeah.
meaning you could run them, like software.
That's the mind-blowing implication. So the researchers in this future scenario, they took a piece of this deciphered temple script and they fed it into a quantum computer.
And what happened? Did the computer crash?
No, something much stranger. It spontaneously generated chains of entangled photons.
Entangled photons.
Yeah.
Pairs of light particles linked together, right?
That's them, key components in quantum computing. But the way this temple script generated them was new, unexpected, different from any known quantum algorithm.
So a 4,000-year-old carving essentially directed a cutting-edge quantum process.
Think about it. Yeah, a program from the distant past running in the near future.
That is. Wow. Okay. So Dendera was the proof of concept, Did Numina look at other places too?
Oh yeah, it expanded its analysis globally. Sites like Stonehenge, the super old Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, those stepped pyramids in Mesoamerica.
Or code?
It started unlocking different kinds of algorithmic sequences at each site. Some seemed related to mapping resonant frequencies very precisely. Others looked like calibrations for, well, it sounds like science fiction, but effects related to time distortion.
Time distortion, seriously.
And even equations that hinted at gravity modulation, altering gravity.
Okay, now we're really pushing the boundaries. Gravity modulation. That suggests these ancient people, whoever they were, had technology we can barely dream of.
It points towards a completely different understanding of their capabilities, doesn't it? The whole idea of them programming with geometry with massive stones instead of silicon, it's just
mind-bending.
compute. And then it got even stranger. Numina detected something else, not from one site, but from overlapping patterns across multiple temples, continents apart.
What was it?
It identified what it called a self-executing metascript. It showed up as this rotating holographic glyph, a 3D symbol.
Okay. Did it say anything?
Embedded within this glyph was a clear signal, a message. Return the core. And right after that, a countdown started ticking.
Return the core? What core? Return it where?
No explanation, just the command and this clock running down.
I bet that caused a stir. A mysterious countdown from ancient sites.
You can imagine. A massive global effort kicked off. Following the countdown, tracking energy signatures maybe, it eventually led them somewhere unexpected.
Where?
An uncharted deep-sea trench way out in the Atlantic. Off the Azores.
Deep ocean. What did they find down there? Atlantis.
Well, maybe. Beneath the seabed, they found a structure covered in these strange crystalline mineral panels. Inside it, they found what they called the Atlantis Memory Vault.
The memory vault. Okay, describe.
It was huge, like room-sized, and it had superconducting properties, conducted electricity with zero resistance, its internal structure, perfect Fibonacci layering, that spiral pattern you see in shells and galaxies.
Okay, technologically advanced, clearly. Did they get inside? Access it.
They used laser resonance scans, and they found data, a lot of data, stored somehow in the atomic structure of the crystals.
How much data are we talking?
Get ready for this. 256 petabytes.
Astronomical. What kind of information? Alien cat videos.
Huh. If only. No, it was profound. Detailed star charts, far beyond ancient knowledge, biological blueprints for species, maybe, language trees for lost dialects, and one section, clearly labeled, Protocol. Reset.
Protocol. Reset. Wow. What did they think that meant?
The leading theory became this was a backup, maybe a backup of Earth's entire consciousness system, if such a thing exists. Or maybe the operating code for the biosphere itself.
A backup of the planet. Made by whom? Advanced humans lost to time.
Or
something else. Something older.
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Which brings us to this really compelling theory about a forgotten singularity.
Okay, explain that.
The idea is maybe there was a civilization way back before the last ice age, and they reached a point of technological advancement, a singularity, maybe digital, maybe quantum, where things got potentially uncontrollable.
Like AI taking over, or some other unforeseen consequence.
Something like that. And maybe, facing that, they made a conscious choice to initiate a reset, to wind civilization back, maybe to protect the planet in the long run. Planetary stewardship, you could call it.
So not wiping everything out, but putting things on pause. And leaving clues behind.
Exactly. This forgotten singularity, as the theory goes, didn't just vanish. They encoded their knowledge subtly, not just in giant stone monuments built to last.
But maybe hidden elsewhere, too.
Perhaps embedded in our myths, our music, maybe even woven into our DNA patterns. Waiting.
Waiting for what?
Waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of technological maturity again. A point where we could actually find and understand this forgotten code. Use it responsibly, perhaps.
I think it was like a time capsule, only meant to be opened when we were ready.
That's the idea. And the final piece, Numina supposedly decrypted. It's chilling.
What was it?
Just one sentence? We gave you language to learn the machine.
Whoa. We gave you language to learn the machine. What machine? The vault, the Earth system.
Or maybe language itself. Our ability for complex thought wasn't an accident. Maybe it was a tool given to us specifically so we could eventually understand this ancient system, this encoded knowledge.
That reframes everything about being human. Okay, so let's pause here for everyone listening. Think about this.
Yeah.
Were ancient temples just for praying? Or were they sophisticated data storage built to last eons? And our current tech boom, Smartphones, AI, quantum computing. Is this all brand new? Or are we just rebooting something ancient, rediscovering something that was deliberately left for us?
It's a deep question. A cycle, maybe, instead of a straight line of progress.
And the big one,
Hmm.
if you could run one of these ancient algorithms, this temple script, knowing nothing about what it would actually do, would you risk it? Would you hit run?
That's the ultimate gamble, isn't it? What knowledge or what power might be locked away, and what might the consequences be?
These are the kinds of questions that just spin around your head when you start thinking about this forgotten code idea. It really forces you to look at history differently.
Absolutely. It challenges that neat linear story we tell ourselves, suggests something much more complex, maybe even cyclical, about us, our technology, and the planet.
Well, this has been something else. A deep dive into ancient math, future AI, quantum physics, Atlantis faults, and forgotten singularities. It definitely makes you look at old ruins in a new light.
It certainly does. Maybe the answers we're looking for aren't just in the future. Maybe they're also coded into our distant past, waiting.
So, next time you see a pattern or visit an ancient site, listen closely. Follow the patterns, listen to the stones, and don't forget the code.
Well said.
And for anyone whose curiosity is really buzzing now, wanting to explore more, we recommend looking into folks who've been exploring related ideas for years. People like Graham Hancock, John Anthony West, figures like Stephen Wolfram on the computational side of things, and of course those hypothetical MIT quantum history archives we mentioned. Lots to chew on there. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.